So, did anyone ever give you the talk? And you know the talk I'm talking about, the birds and the bees and all that kind of stuff. And when they did you know what the heck the birds and the bees was? Did it make you feel uncomfortable or awkward? Any of those types of things? Well, we are actually going to make it easier for you and your little one today. And I say little one, but I know your little person today. So we want you to keep watching as we discuss periods, puberty, and much more. And I promise you, it won't be awkward. So, welcome to Lessons Beyond the Stethoscope, where we provide practical health tips and tools that you can use in your everyday life, because what we understand is that your life affects your health. I am Dr. Ashlie Booth. I'm a board certified family medicine physician, and I am your host on today. I'm also the owner of Healing Beyond the Stethoscope Primary Care. On this episode, we are going to be discussing talks beyond the classroom, periods, puberty, and breaking stigmas. And today I have an expert that is joining us, and that is Dr. Loretta Duggan. She is a family medicine and adolescent medicine physician who is also the owner of her private practice called Her Health in Athens, Georgia. So thank you so much for joining us on today.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Booth. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. And so, like I said, we have all these different things about, like, I don't even know about you. I'm not even going to ask you personally how your talk went, but I know how my talk went. And I'm like, oh, please, please, la, 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 I don't want to hear it. Don't. But we are going to try to help some parents navigate this today. But tell me, why do you think there's so much shame and stigma that's associated with just periods and puberty in general?
Yes, and again, it's can be such a tough topic because it varies how we actually get the information, right? So, like you said, at least there was some semblance of a talk. For me, I didn't have one. So it was a lot of figuring it out as you go, trying to get tidbits from here and there. And now, of course, with social media, with the internet, it's taking it to a whole different level. So really now I'm encouraging my parents, and I would encourage everyone to get ahead of that. Really, the sooner you can start these conversations, the better. And that's the key. It's not just the talk. It's not just one talk. It's going to be multiple talks, yes, throughout their entire, lifespan. Even after they're out of the house, we're still probably going to be talking about it, right? They're still going to be asking for advice. But the important thing is to stay open, to stay curious, to recognize, okay, there may be this small window of opportunity that's there for me to address a bigger topic, because now your preteen or teen may actually be open to hearing it. Whether you're sitting down and enjoying a movie, it may have been a kissing scene in there. You all may talk about that later and be like, "Ooh, kissing. Oh, yeah, you may be a little bit vulnerable. I remember my first kiss. Have you ever kissed anybody or thought about it or crushing on anybody?" So you're kind of bringing it into a conversation that you're already having or something that you're already doing to make it a little less awkward for really both of y'all.
I like that approach because I have seen or even talked to different parents that have talked about, having this one structured time, and I am going to talk to them about this, and I'm going to give them all the information on this day, and I think I'm
Mhm.
done. I'm good, right? Because and that's the way they
Right.
look at it. But I think that's also a really good approach too, is that these things are happening in real time, and how can
Mhm.
I address it in this moment?
Yes, and meet them where they are. For some parents, or for sometimes it may be when you're riding in the car. They're in the back seat, you may have finished up from a game or coming back from school, pick up, and they may throw out a question to you, and you're like, "Oh, hold on, what was that about?" You may not be ready. You may not be ready to catch it, but they're watching your expression. They want to know, is this a safe place for me to land when I have these concerns? Because if you withdraw up or you like, oh, where did that come from? Why are you asking me that?
Mm.
Do you think they're going to come to you when they have other issues or as things get bigger or as they go into different relationships and things? They might not. So, trying to stay as calm and level headed, no matter how much it may take you off guard. And then again, staying curious. Okay, tell me more about that. Oh, that's really interesting. Tell me kind of where did that come from or what you're thinking about that instead of kind of shutting it down or having a big reaction to it. We want to keep it kind of even keel, but still staying curious and asking them, kind of, oh, where are your thoughts on that? Or that's interesting. Tell me more about your feelings on it. And then you can proceed from there.
That's a good point because the other thing is, like you said, it helps them to be more open about it. It helps you to see if they have some misinformation. And if
Right.
you think that the misinformation is not there, let me tell you, I ran into some grown adults
Mm,
that would tell me things, and I was like, that's not how this works. That's
mm-hmm.
not how any of this works,
Yep.
right? And I'm
Yep.
like, how did you get this far and you didn't know like
That's
some
right.
basic things?
Mm-hmm.
So being able to be open and let them have that moment is amazing. One thing I want to ask is like some
Mm-hmm.
resources. 'Cause some parents are like, what resource can I trust? What can I use to help me have this discussion? Because how should I name body parts? What should I say about it? Should I point them out? That sort of thing. Do you know of some reputable resources that may help with that?
Right. No, another excellent question. And like you said, it's hard to know exactly who and what to trust nowadays. But a few ones that stand out to me that I've noticed and that I really like. One, are it would be the authors that wrote This Is So Awkward. Like literally they're going through all things when it comes to puberty and they present it in such a way that it's more humorous for you. So we're not taking ourselves so seriously as
Yeah.
the adult in the room. They also are on IG as well, like Less Awkward. I believe that's their handle. Another one is at birds underscore bees. And literally, they're going through different scripts of how you can start talking to have these conversations. And they really kind of lay it out in an easy and digestible way for you.
Oh, those are good. So you said that's give me the names one more time because people are maybe like, wait, let me get it, and they didn't catch it
That's
the first time. Let's
okay.
just tell them one more time.
Yes, so This Is So Awkward is the book that was written, but the same authors, they also have a podcast. They're on IG as well at Less Awkward. And then the second one, the second resource is at birds underscore bees. And they're on IG as well.
Okay, perfect.
Hmm.
The I think that this is one of those things that can start to help break the stigma.
Right.
Because and I know we're talking about the girls, but
Hmm.
honestly, boys need to be aware of this situation too and understand what's going on, that it is natural. This is what happens. I know that I kind of had the talk and it was with our school and they separated the boys and the girls. And the
Hmm.
boys came out with deodorant. The girls came out with a brown bag full of stuff and we was like, "Oh, don't no, no."
No one was
You
to
know,
hide everything, right?
yeah. And and the boys are like, "What's in there? I want to know what's in there." And
Right.
you're kind of like, "No, okay, yeah, I got a little deodorant," and
Mhm.
but you didn't want to really talk about it. But I think one of the ways to kind of help break that stigma, boys and girls, but one of the ways with girls, one I want to ask you is how to approach girls with their personal hygiene. Like, especially a lot of times this happens middle school, even somewhere around elementary school, but
Mhm.
how to prepare them for that to feel confident to go and do whatever they need to do to take care of themselves.
Yes, that stigma is still so huge. Like, even to this day, I just talked to a group of young ladies, they're like preteens and teens, and we were talking about the anatomy, about the inside and out. And even like with some of my older teenagers, it was still the big ew, and oh my goodness, why are we talking about this? And I'm like, but we're all ladies. So we all have this similar anatomy. We all need to know about it, know the actual true names for it, what purpose they serve. And really, it's a protective factor. If someone's kind of invading your privacy, invading your space, you're not providing consent to them, then that is an issue. That is a problem. And we want you to know that ahead of time, sooner than later. It's a constant conversation in breaking stigma because we're bringing it to the light that this is normal. The more we talk about it, the more we normalize it. So even with our young ladies, let's say now they're starting to show breast development. They have breast buds. That's one of the first signs of puberty. For most of our young ladies, I say officially, unofficially, maybe the mood swings, but officially it's going to be those breast buds that you see. So if you see breast buds, you know for a fact it's time to start having this conversation.
Okay.
One
And
second. Hang on one second.
yeah, sure. The other thing I want to mention, and it is very important, and I know Dr. Duggan will also agree with me on this, is that when you are having this discussion, it doesn't mean that it is going to start other talks. Because I've had some parents to say to me, I think that once I start talking about this, the kids are going to be more interested in having sex. And they're going to want to get more engaged and involved, and it's going to make them a lot more promiscuous and those sorts of things. But that actually is a myth. And what we have found and what research has shown is that once we truly educate our young people about their bodies and what it does and the anatomy of it and what everything looks like, then we are able to fully let them know, okay, this, like she said, this doesn't go there. I don't like to be touched there. This is what happened in this situation. But they are a lot more informed. And the reason, if they have that information, just because they know about it doesn't mean that they are going to get more promiscuous or anything like that. It's just, this is information that we can use to protect myself and be able to make sure that I am safe. So the other part that I want to touch on is when we break that stigma, and like you said, normalizing it. If someone brings in like hygiene bags, because in hygiene, to me, especially at this age with puberty and everything is changing, that's deodorant, that is also their sanitary products, all that kind of stuff. How can they normalize that and make it fun and make it, oh, it's just what I do?
Yes, and I'm so glad you did that because I have a group that helps to bring period products to
Oh,
me. And so I like to have them readily available for patients when they come in so they know that this is normal, just like we're picking up pencils, notebook paper, rulers, whatever it is that you need, folders. This is like a necessity as well. And so, however you want to accessorize it, whether you want to have a nice, cute little bag where they can go inside of your book bag, or you want to place it on the outside, if you're really confident about things that it can attach right there, you can have different ways that you can make it fun, but you still have the supplies that you need.
I love that. And it's empowerment. It truly
Yeah.
is empowerment, and you're taking it back and you're like, this is just what, and you know what I've noticed is that when someone is really confident about what they're doing and how they're doing it, then other people are like, oh, okay. And it's no
It's
longer,
okay, right? It
yeah, it's
becomes
okay.
okay. Yep. It becomes
Right.
normal. And during that time too, while they're developing, they're leaning on their peers more,
Mhm.
right? We're not listening just to mom and dad as being the end all be all. As their brains are developing, now they're starting to be influenced sometimes by those peers. We hope in the most positive ways.
Right.
But that can be a positive influence. If my peers are more open to it, or if I'm more open to it, then we can start a trend that, hey, this is okay for us to have our pads or tampons, whatever we need for our period health, just like we have pens and pencils.
Perfect. Now, you have done some additional training. So you're family medicine trained, but
Mm-hmm.
then you did some additional training and a fellowship in adolescent medicine. So that means that you are really tailored to this age group and are able to kind of help them navigate that sort of thing. So one of the things I want to ask you about is, because we've talked about periods and stuff like that, but what are some signs of like abnormal periods? Like when the period first starts, it's kind of like riding a bike. It's probably not going to be smooth and things are going to be, and but eventually we should get into a rhythm and something, everything, we should start seeing things kind of go like clockwork. But when should a parent get concerned and say, well, maybe I should get this checked out because this is not quite going the way I think it should?
Excellent question about periods and what may be normal versus abnormal. And you're right, with looking at our period health, there are certain questions that I'm going to ask everybody that walks in my door. In addition to how old you were when you first started your periods, because that'll give me an idea. Are we like 1 year out? Or are we 3 years out? And things like that. We're going to ask, okay, are you having your periods every month? How frequently are you having them? If they're over 35 days between the start of one period to the start of the next, okay, that may be starting to stretch out a little bit too long if you've already had your periods for at least 2 years or more. So that's one thing. The second could be with their pain. How are you able to handle pain if you have it? Are you having cramps that are disruptive to your day? Are you having to miss days out of school? Are you having to miss activities like sports that you're playing because your cramping is so bad? Or you're having nausea, you're having vomiting? That's again associated with your periods. That's something that we would want you to get seen about. With your flow, how heavy is your flow? How often are you having to actually change whichever period product that you're using? Because that can give us an idea if that flow is a little bit too heavy or not. And we're talking about at least every 1 to 2 hours if you're having to say change a pad. So that's pretty frequently, and it's like almost full. Some people may or may not have blood clots, sometimes the
Mm-hmm.
size of a penny, the size of a quarter. These are things that we're going to ask about and that we want to know about, in addition to how long are your periods lasting when you do get them? Is it, 5 to 7 days, or are you now out to 10 days? It's almost 2 weeks since you've been
Mm-hmm.
bleeding. After 7 days, then that would be something that we would want to look into a little bit further and make sure that you're evaluated to see what's going on.
I appreciate that because there are some adults that have normalized a lot of that. And you're right. And I appreciate you asking every single person, let's go through this step by step so I can know. Because I used to just say, are you having a cycle? Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
they would say that it was normal. I say, how's your flow? Oh, it's normal. And then I said, wait, what's normal to you? Because everybody's
That's
normal is
right.
different, but there is a true normal. And what
Mm-hmm.
and once you hear, I'm having to change my pad. I'm wearing a pad and a tampon, and I'm having to change that every hour or 2 hours. I'm so tired, I can't get out of bed. I have to miss several days of school. Those are some key things that really need to get checked out, like you said, because that is not normal. We have normalized it because a lot
Exactly.
of people experience it and they think that, oh, well, my mom had this, my aunt had this, so this is just kind of what we do and how we deal with it. But that doesn't necessarily have to be your normal.
Absolutely. And like you said, some of us, like for me, I had really painful periods for like forever since they started. And it became my normal. I
Mm-hmm.
simply figured out how to best deal with it. Aleve became my Tic Tacs, and I
Mm-hmm.
made sure I had plenty of supplies on board. But I truly treat our period health and those questions that I just listed off as like another vital sign. Just
Mm.
like I want to know your blood pressure, just like I want to know your oxygen level, your heart rate, I want to know about your period health. When was your last period? When was the last one before that? And the list goes from there so that we can get a better idea of their overall period health.
One of the things I want to ask you about is when you have these abnormal periods, is there something else they can do? I know that birth control comes into the picture, and we talk about it sometimes, not necessarily just for pregnancy prevention. And I think people should understand that, because I tell people it's hormonal therapy. So I've reworded it, because people are like, no, my child's not doing this, my child's not doing that. And I was like, I am not giving it to them to prevent pregnancy. Maybe it can help regulate some of this, those sorts of things. When should someone consider, or when would birth control be used for things other than just pregnancy prevention?
Perfect. No, that's such a great question because just like we talked about stigma with pads and tampons,
Mm-hmm.
our period health supplies, the same thing I feel, is the surrounding, kind of story around birth control as well. If you're on birth control, they think you must be having sex. And that's just
Mm-hmm.
not the case. With birth control, like you said, I also call it hormonal therapy because there are so many reasons depending on why one may be having issues with their period that we can utilize it in multiple different ways. So if we have a heavier bleeder, that's something that hormonal therapy may can help with. If you're having someone like myself who had really terrible pain, also known as dysmenorrhea, then hormones may can be an option if the things over the counter, if prescription strength like naproxen, which is in the ibuprofen family, doesn't work for you, you have another option that you can use. Even if your periods are irregular, where you have PCOS, that may be a cause for it, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, again, helping to regulate those periods. If that's our goal of care and what we need to do, then that's where hormonal therapy can come into play as a viable option in that condition. So there's so many multiple ways that hormonal therapy can be utilized. And as a contraceptive, that's really only one of the options for it.
Right. That's just one option.
That's
There are
just one.
multiple things. Right. Okay. Thank you for clearing that up. Now, if someone is having some questions, some concerns, maybe this is normal or maybe it's not. When should they consider making their first GYN appointment? And then even with that, who should they see? Do they have to go to OBGYN, or are there some other people out there such as yourself that they could see?
I love this question so much because when did we get to talk about seeing a gynecologist or taking care of our periods? Never.
Never.
It was not a part of the conversation. We got our vaccines and we kept trucking. And so, in terms of starting with the gynecologist, or even talking through gynecology issues, I would say someone that's age appropriate,
Mm,
someone that's age appropriate for you, because even with some OB-GYNs, they may not be as comfortable with preteens and teens.
mhm,
Even with some family medicine docs like ourselves, we may start at a higher age now. We may start upwards of 18. So it's really going to depend on the doctor, the physician, that clinical healthcare provider for you. And it will be important to reach out to them to ask, hey, are you okay with seeing my child at this age for this particular problem? And if
mhm,
not, then that's okay. We just keep looking. There are those like myself that may have done adolescent medicine as well. That definitely covers the spectrum when it comes to period health, reproductive, sexual health needs for preteens, teenagers, up until young adults. As family medicine, we're trained to see everybody. But again,
mhm.
some may not be as comfortable with the gynecological portion of it. So, really, I would say in addition to possibly looking at certain specialties, we want to make sure that they're age appropriate as well. And you also asked about what age? What age should we think about even just seeing someone about gynecology things in general? The typical answer would be around 13 years of age. Most young ladies may have already started their periods by then or may be very close to entering into that postmenarchal world, we'll say. And so that's one of the ages that's often outlined. For myself, I start at 11 because I started at 11. And so I want to have that resource available as well for our preteens, even if we're coming in and you have that first visit and people are like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Because they think
Mm.
that pelvic exam is going to be the first thing on the list that we do. But surprisingly, that may not even happen on the first visit. It may be a lot more talking. Typically, it's going to be a lot more talking. We're going to go through your history, talk through things that are important to you, and what needs we may need to address as we go through your period history, as we're going through your psychosocial history too, because we know in that teenage age, at preteens, there's a lot of things changing, not just their bodies, but also emotionally, how they're dealing with things as well, and socially, their peer groups.
Right.
All these things are changing at the same time.
Yeah, it is. There are a lot. A lot is an understatement. I don't even know the word for, but there's so many things. And I'll be honest, I did not particularly like middle school because the kids can be a little mean, and it's just so much that's happening and you don't feel comfortable in
And
your
you're learning
body,
about yourself.
learning
Yes.
about yourself. Yeah. So it's a definitely an interesting time. And I appreciate you mentioning the fact about the pelvic exam, because someone may be thinking, oh, if they go to gynecology or if they see someone like her, then they're automatically going to start doing these pelvic exams on my child, and I don't want that. But that not necessarily what's happening. And even like you said, even in the very beginning, it's just getting the history and talking things out and seeing how we can get things under control for you.
Absolutely. And then to know that they have another resource that's available that is a physician, if they may be uncomfortable going to their parents or other trusted adults that may be in their life. And we want to start that early so they can know that they have other voices, other individuals, other professionals that they may can reach out to, say, before social media or the internet
Yeah.
or listening to their peers. They're like, let me take this back to Dr. Duggan and let me see what she says, or thinks about this. The other thing, too, I just recently did a series about what to expect your first gynecology visit.
Yes, you did. I'm so glad that you mentioning it because I was going to
Yes.
say something. It was
Ties it
amazing.
perfectly. So definitely I would want people to check that out to kind of really understand the expectation of that visit or those visits as it progresses through. Because again, it's not a one-time thing, just like the talk. It isn't a one-time thing. It's something that builds over time. And you want to build that relationship with your patients as soon as you can.
Oh, that is so good. I'm so glad that you mentioned that because those points are really good. Like you said, like there's certain steps of this. It's going to happen and progress over time. The one thing I also want to add to this is I don't want to leave out our pediatrician friends because a lot of these children are seeing pediatricians.
Absolutely.
But like you said, it and they technically are tailored to see this age group. However, do you feel like they are well equipped enough to be able to have this discussion with your child? And that's what you want to see, because we want to make sure that they are getting with the right provider. At the end of the day, I always tell people you have to make sure that you're matched up with the right person for the moment where you are in your life. So we said you can go to family medicine doctor, especially a family medicine doctor that has specialized in adolescent medicine, GYN, and then also pediatricians. So you can look at this whole network of providers and see which one has the best fit. And like she said, give them a call. Do you deal with this age group? Is this something that you do? So that way you'll know, is this going to be the place for you, or if you should continue to keep searching. Dr. Duggan, is there anything else that you want to discuss? I'm going to let you talk about her health because we are really going to get into that, because I'm amazed at all the things that you do. But were there any other tips or points that you wanted to give before we talk about her health?
Yes, what I would say is, even though it's hard to do for us sometimes as adults, but really what your preteen, what your teen is looking for, they want you to be able to be vulnerable. They want you to be authentic. And then they also want you to be reliable. Can you be a source that they can go through and go to know that they can trust and really make their lived experiences something that's normal? Like, because mama went through it or auntie went through it too. So it's not just me. So
Yeah.
I would say if they could do those things, then they're already ahead of the game.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I know that you do this and so much more at your practice, Her Health. I love what it stands for, literally healthy, sorry, I'm like empowered and ready. Like that, if that doesn't get people like excited, I don't know, because this tells you in the name what you're going to be able to do for these young adults and these young people to kind of get them set up and ready for the next phase, because this is a really critical, important phase in their life. And if we do it right, then they're going to be able to blossom and go to the next stage without a problem. So talk to us a little bit about Her Health, what you offer. You guys are located in Athens, Georgia. So let people know the services that you offer and the experience that you provide.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. This has been so fun. With Her Health, yes, in addition to making sure that our teens and young ladies are healthy, empowered, and ready, we want to help them to confidently embrace their menstrual, their reproductive, and their sexual health needs so they can live the life they choose. Whatever it is that it ends up being, we want them to live the life that they choose. And so we talked a lot about period things that we can help our young ladies with if they're heavy, irregular, or painful. But also, it's a lot about prevention. We're preventing babies until they're ready. So we're going to go through all the different types of hormonal therapies that are available as contraceptive methods, including Nexplanons and IUDs. We're also going to talk about sexually transmitted infections. We're going to make sure that everyone is screened and up to date so that they know their status. And if anything changes, they know about that too. And we can help treat them if, that is an issue. Again, no stigma, no judgment. We're creating that safe and open space for these conversations to happen so that we can help them on their journey. And the other would be our pap smears. We talked a little bit about pelvic exams for our earlier teens, but as we get into young adulthood, our 21 and older young ladies, we want to make sure that they're covered, that they're not so fearful of seeing the gynecologist, or maybe have had a bad experience with another gynecologist that wasn't age appropriate for them. We want to change that narrative and create that comfortable space for them to have their pap smear done, get the results back to them so that they can know that they are taking care of themselves in the best way that they know how. So those are some of the things that we're doing here at Her Health. That is our sole focus now. And I'm so excited, so excited to be able to bring this type of practice to the Athens, Georgia area and surrounding areas.
And the age group that you start to see, what does that age range look like?
Yes, we're starting at age 11 years old. And for now, we're going up to 30. Initially, we were going up to 26, insurance wise. But I was like, hey, when I was 30, I know what's going on yet still. I'm still figuring it out. Okay. So we're up to 30 now. Who knows? It may continue to change. But for right now, we're starting at 11 to 30, and it's been such a awesome, wholesome response from the community because the need is definitely there. So we're so excited to be able to address it in a new way.
So it sounds like you are still accepting new patients. And if so, how can they contact you to join? How can they find you?
Yes, absolutely. We are absolutely accepting new patients, and we are insurance based, but we also have self pay options for individuals that may be uninsured. One of the best ways that you can find me is on your favorite social media app, whether it's IG at Loretta Duggan MD or TikTok or YouTube. The handle is still the same. And then you can also find us on Facebook as well at Dr. Loretta Duggan Her Health.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I know that this information is really going to be a game changer because as a parent who has a child that's moving from that whole preteen into teen and all of that, being able to hear this information from you saying, hey, it's not a one-time conversation. It's, it's going to continue to evolve. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So, but it helps me to understand to continue to be more comfortable with it because I'm a physician, but I'm also a mom, right?
Exactly. Yep, we wear many hats.
We
We wear
wear many hats, and so when I have to put on the mom hat, it's like, okay, let's
Mhm.
see how we're gonna do this. So
Yes.
I appreciate you so much taking the time to be able to help us start to navigate this and normalizing it. I really do.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Booth.
Absolutely. Well, listen, everyone, thank you again for tuning in to Lessons Beyond the Stethoscope. Until next time, we're wishing you much, much healing.